So now, guys, it's 12:30 and let's formally get started. Welcome one and all, and thank you for taking the time out. I know you're incredibly busy because everyone in credit control is. It's just a busy time. Taking a few minutes out is good. And I guarantee you that whatever happens, we will be finished at 1:15 and maybe a bit earlier. So we leave a few minutes at the end if you have any questions, queries, or anything you want to ask us. And look, I'm delighted to help in any way I can. And that's just something I want you to take away from today. First of all, that for those of you who don't know me, my name is Declan Flood, and for those of you who do, I'm probably around about 100 years now at this stage, or at least it just feels like that. I've been in the credit game forever. And I suppose over those years, I'm one of these sad credit people who has spent my whole life working in credit and on credit, from day one throughout. And I suppose what qualifies me to talk on this topic is very simply I have built a whole career on credit management. And you know what? It's one of the most rewarding careers you can have. And so that's that. So that's why I want to talk to you today about, building a career. Now, before I do, the one thing I want to start off, and this is probably starting off on a negative, but one of the questions I'm going to ask everybody here is, you know, should you build a career in credit management? That's the very first question. So I'm going to ask you a few challenging questions here to make you think. And to be honest with you, in all my years in credit management, I have found there's a few different types of people. There are people who, well, everybody for starters falls into credit management. Nobody leaves school, or I've never met a 5-year old that you ask what you want to be when you grow up, and they look at you with excited eyes and say, I want to be a credit controller. It doesn't happen, and people don't leave college to become credit controllers. What happens generally is people fall into it. They either leave school or leave college and think, God, I have to get a job, and the only job going is in a credit control department. And sure, look, I need beer money for the weekend, so I'll give it a go. Um, and then what happens is some people love it and some people hate it. And that's okay too, because everybody's different and credit control is not for everybody. If you are one of those people who hate it, then my advice is do not build a career in credit management. Get out as quick as you possibly can. Because I can tell you this, life is too short to spend any time doing things you don't like doing. So the first thing and the first prerequisite to building a career in credit management is you have to enjoy it. It has to excite you. You have to get that buzz from credit. And there are people out there, and I did always, the payment comes in and you go, yes, I've got that sorted. And the query comes in and you look at the 2 month column has gone to zero, and wow, I never thought I'd see that. And it's celebrating these successes as you go. Even getting some genius to answer the phone can be a cause of success. So part of what you need to do is to celebrate your own successes, because nobody else in the company knows or understands what you're doing or how you do it. So just recognize that, and you have to celebrate your own successes and be nice to yourself and tell yourself, yeah, you are good. You're hitting your targets, you're getting the money, you're sorting out stuff. Now you might be sitting there and think, Deck, it's one query after another, it's one problem after another, it's disputes, it's rows, yes, that's what it is. And that's what credit control is. And to me, oh, sorry, I've got my pen on or something. Sorry. Um, I'm drawing red lines across the screen here. That's not intentional, I can tell you. Anyway, so if you are working as a credit controller, and if you like credit control and you think, yeah, this is something I enjoy it, I get it, because a lot of people don't get it. And now I need to get the recognition for the job that I'm doing, and I want to progress from a career perspective. That's what this session here today is all about. And the options are wide and varied from your own perspective. Now, the first career option is just to stay as a credit controller. Like some people think, oh, I'm a credit controller. I have to, become a team leader. I have to become a supervisor. I have to become a manager. I have to become a group credit manager. No, you don't. And if you enjoy credit control, and I know people who have worked in credit control for years and years and years, and they're very, very good at it, and they enjoy it, and that's fine. Like don't be putting yourself under pressure to progress. Now, if you want to progress, that's fine too. And that's part of what we're going to be discussing here today. So if you're happy being a credit controller, then part of what you need to do, and we're talking about to build your career in credit management, part of what you need to do is to build a reputation for yourself within your own organization. Now, one of the big problems we have in credit is that it can be seen as a negative function. And I have been referred to in the past as the sales prevention department, the anti-sales squad. Oh, look, you name it, I've been called it, and a few expletives as well. Um, and again, that goes with the territory too. So, what we need to do within our organizations is that we need to have confidence. And part of what I want to do in the few minutes available to me today is to give you the opportunity to take this confidence on board. You are doing a very difficult job. You are doing a vital job for the company because at the end of the day, the money that pays the managing director's wages is the money that you collect. So never underestimate the power of what you do and the importance of what you do because money, as they say, make the world go round. And I think it was a friend of mine, Brian Tracy, once said, he said, money is not the most important thing in the world, but it's right up there with oxygen. And I think we can kind of get where that's coming from. So just know the importance of what you do and all the issues and all the problems and all that you have. You have to work with people in order to get that done, to get them sorted, to get them solved. That is your job, and to make sure that we get past all the excuses to the money because that's where the results are. And getting that money is keeping business going. And I don't care what analysis you do on failed companies, through the ages. Companies fail because they run out of money. That's it. A company can lose money for many years and stay going. The minute they run out of money, the business is over. And people are funny in Ireland. If you don't pay them on a Friday, they tend not to come back on a Monday. So your job is to make sure that that the cash is in the business to pay the bills and keep the doors open. That's very important. And the other thing that you do in credit control, whether you realize it or not, is you are the eyes and ears of the customer within your organization. So a lot of other departments are inward looking. The accountants are producing reports, the HR people are looking at, all sorts of other things. You are the only person who knows your customers really well. In fact, you spend more time talking to customers than salespeople do. And the truth is, you probably care more about your customers than the salespeople do as well. Salespeople only care about sales, targets, and commission. So, just be aware of that and have the confidence that, I am doing an important job. I know what the customers want and need. And if you focus your attention on keeping customers happy and paying, then they will, because happy customers pay far quicker than unhappy customers. So that's just a kind of an overview. In terms of the three areas I want to cover today, I want to cover, oh no, I still have those. Can you see, Jane, can you see those red streaks on the screen? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know what I've done. And I don't know how to get rid of them. Um,
I wouldn't worry. They're not too bad. The slides are still perfectly visible.
are they? Yeah, um, yeah, okay, sorry. Let me just get back there. So I must have had a, got a pen of some description and scribbled on it. Okay, so the three things I want to cover today for your benefit is the skills you need to be an excellent credit controller, the mindset you need to have, and then your positioning within the company, because they are three very important things. So yes, we need the skills. We also need the mindset. And in my thinking, mindset is probably the most important thing you can have. And even when I'm recruiting or looking for people, I am looking for mindset. Skills can be taught. The mindset is something that somebody has, and that's harder. And then where you position yourself in the company. So I've identified a number of skills. And the skills I have identified is focus. You have to stay focused. And just remember that in credit control, our job is to get the money. That's the job. So we have to stay focused on getting the money. And then we have to do whatever it takes in order to get the money. So just remember that always and stay focused. And that's a skill that you need. Now, yes, you say, Jack, it's all right for you. You're not sitting in my office, where I'm focusing on 200 things every day. Yeah, you probably are. You still have to stay focused on each of the 200 things as you are doing them. So if that is making a call, you're focused on the call, communicating with the person, making sure the money comes in. If you're dealing with resolving queries, then you focus on that and bring it through and finish it and stay focused. And just rather than being all over the place and half doing things and doing things to 80%, no, 99% is half done. So you have to stay focused on the task and stay focused on the most important task. So that is one of the skills that you need to be good at credit control. The other thing you need is to be an excellent communicator. And when I'm talking about an excellent communicator, I'm talking about both internally and externally. So you have to communicate with your customers, you have to communicate with your AP people, and they should become your friends over the years if you're talking to them on a monthly basis. So get to know the people, take time, care about your customers, and if you can communicate clearly and crystally with them, then you will be successful in credit management. And I see the role as a communicator. That's what credit control is all about. And that's the part I think that a lot of accountants miss, that we are the communicators within the organization. So we have to communicate with the customers. And to me, my definition of communications, if you want to know what it is very simple. Communications is the result it achieves. That's all. It's not about how loquaciously you pass yourself off. It's about the results you achieve. So, excellent communicator with your customers, and then, and maybe more importantly, an excellent communicator internally as well, because you can't do this job on your own. And in order to get paid, remember this, why credit control is so difficult is that for you to get paid, everybody else has to do their job and do it properly. So the person keying in the orders has to key in what the customer ordered. The person picking the order has to pick what is on the order sheet. The delivery driver has to deliver what was picked. The billing department have to bill what was delivered. So everything depends on everybody else. And if anything goes wrong anywhere within the chain, it's going to end up on your desk and a customer saying, I'm not paying you because. So this is where credit control to me is a unique function and one that you should want to build a career in, because if you can master this, if you can, because you're at the heart of the company, you're at the cutting face. You're dealing with customers, you're dealing with your internal departments, you're making sure everything is done correctly, and you have to define what correct is. And in terms of your communications, like I know we could talk about salespeople, trying to get them to deal with queries. You're wasting your time. They'll say yes and they'll walk away and you'll never see them again. So in order to become a great communicator, you have to get people to do what they need to do. And that's part of the role as well. To be persuasive. So it's not about, you have to be persuasive. Your customers have lots of other people who are looking for their money. So, and that's fine. The fact is, my job is to make sure that they pay me. And my loyalties, and I'm talking about me, I'm really talking about you. Your loyalties lie with the company who's paying your wages. So make sure that even if that company doesn't have money to pay everybody, as long as they have money to pay you, that's what it's all about. So you have to bring your persuasive skills to the fore to make sure that we persuade people to show them why this needs to be paid. You do need to be numerate, because there is numbers involved. There's invoices, there's reconciliations, there's allocations, there's order numbers, there's, you know, when we get into risk and all that kind of stuff, we have to be able to read a set of accounts. We have to be able to evaluate a customer's performance. So we do need some knowledge of numbers, and that just goes with the territory. So again, you don't have to be an accountant or a mathematician. You do have to know and be able to work with numbers. Administration, what you have to do is, and in my first credit management role, my title was administration manager, which kind of upset me because I was always a credit guy. And over time, I kind of saw the wisdom of the title. And maybe for you, as you're forging your career in credit management, because part of what I want you to do today is to start thinking in different directions. So yes, we have the core credit function, which is, a debtor's ledger, getting that money in on time, in full. That's the job. But if you look at your job because you know that you have to do everything correctly in order to get paid, so having the role or even seeing yourself as the administration manager. So it's my job to manage the admin of this company from start to finish to make sure that we get paid at the end of the day. So that's what it's all about. So, don't never underestimate that administration role as well, because if you're going to get your invoices wrong, if you're going to get queries, if you're not going to send out statements, if you're not doing all the bits that the customers expect you to do, then they are simply not going to pay you. And the reality is you're the one who's given them the excuse because you're not putting right order numbers. So part of your role, if you are in a credit control role, and one thing that I would encourage you to do is take time and look beyond your desk. Look beyond your desk to think, hold on. So it's all very well, yeah, look, I have a pile of queries and I've this and I've that and I've this and that report and this to do and I've 1,000 other things to do. And you still need to take time to step back from the desk and say, okay, so where can I expand my role even within my existing company? And that's part of what you know I want you to think of. And where the best place to start with that is probably what areas are causing you most problems. All right. So, for example, if your problems are with the billing department, just think for a moment. The billing department are doing what they think they should be doing, and they're just ticking boxes and doing one, two, three, four. The problem with each individual department is, and the bigger the company, the worse they are. The more they're kind of ingrained in their own little silos, and they do one, two, three, and then they do four. From a credit perspective, we have a greater view of the world because not only do we see what's happening internally, we also see what our customers are thinking about us. So from that regard, have a look around and think, okay, well, look, if 80% of my problems are with the billing department, what would change if the billing department reported to me? Or if I took on responsibility for billing, then I would make sure that the billing was correct in order to make sure that the invoices are correct, in order to make sure that we get paid on time. And as you look at other areas and the areas that I would have taken over because I told you I'm a lifelong credit guy. So I did start as a credit controller. I did make the transition to management and group credit management and all that kind of stuff. Um, and part of how I expanded my role, and let's be honest here, the reason you expand your role is also to increase your influence within the business, to increase your authority within the business, and come on, let's be honest, to increase your salary as well. Because at the end of the day, we go to work to make money. And I've said to you already, money is kind of important. And if you're being underpaid and undervalued and underappreciated for the job that you're doing, well, that is not a good place to be. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to point fingers at anybody because the only person I will point a finger at is you. And if you're not being appreciated, then it's your job to make sure that you are appreciated. So there's a challenge for you now. So what can you do to let people see what you're doing in a positive light, that you're doing this for the benefit of the business, you're doing this to make sure our customers are happy, we're doing this because we give credit so we can sell more. So, calling me the anti-sales squad is rubbish. The only reason we give credit is because it helps us to sell more. And that's what I do. I enable sales. And as credit manager, I decide what customers we do business with. I decide what level we're doing the business with. So within my role, I took on other areas like, you know, yes, I took on billing. In one company, I took on pricing because I found the marketing department were on a different space-time continuum to the rest of us, and they hadn't a clue. Oh, yes, they knew about marketing and they knew about promotions and they knew about, buy one, get one free and offers and all that kind of stuff. Did they know when it came to the nuts and bolts of putting a price up on a system with a start date and an end date? Not a clue did they have. So part of my solution to that was I took ownership of the pricing function, and that came with, its own department and people. And as my influence grew, my department grew, and my position within the company grew. And look, I'm not here to talk about me. I'm giving you ideas as to what you can do in your company to enhance your position. And the reason the senior managers gave me that role was number one, they had confidence in me because I believed in myself and I knew I could do a better job because I understand all the implications. And again, I know I'm talking about me. I just get it. I'm talking about you. So what can you do in your job to show your managers that you are somebody that can be relied on? You are somebody who will get the job done. You are somebody who will deliver. And if you're given the resources, then you can do an even better job. So that's part of what you need to do. So if you can get the resources and the people and then expand your influence, I find that that makes it work far better. And what we're seeing now from a career development perspective, and we're seeing it in a number of multinationals, more and more companies are now appointing directors of credit, which I think is absolutely fantastic. So at last we have a recognition at board level for the importance of the credit function. And even if you never get the title, part of by being here today, I want to plant that seed with you. Like, why not be a director? You look around at some of the geniuses that are sitting on the board of directors, and a lot of them haven't an absolute clue. And it happened a few times in my career, when you looked at somebody and you went, how did they get that job? Like they are just pure useless. So and the reason they did it and I didn't was because, well, number one, I never even thought I could be a director. I just thought I'm the credit manager and this is what I do. So I had a limited belief about my role within the organization. And to be quite honest with you, looking back, as credit manager, I probably was best positioned to become the managing director. And the reason I say that is I knew the customers, I knew the products, I knew the systems, I knew every department, I knew every customer. I got to know the suppliers. I got an in-depth knowledge into the operations and how everything worked. And I knew more about that business than anybody else sitting around that table. And if you think about it, that's probably your situation as well. And now your challenge is to get the recognition for that. So that's that. And in terms of systems knowledge, now look, you don't have to be a programmer. You do have to know what and if there's a system project within your business, you need to get involved with that systems project because if you leave that to the IT guys and the accountants, you will end up with a system that is just unworkable from a practical perspective. And credit people are nothing if not practical and real world. So that's part of what I do. So you need to get to know how the system works. And if you need to make changes, which as your influence increases and your management role increases, you'll be called on more and more to make changes. Just know that if you push something on this side, something else will push out on the other side. So, be aware of, so if I do this, what's going to be the knock-on effect on that? And where is that going to fall out on the other side? So just by being aware of that, and the credit people know that better than anybody else, and you know that better than anybody else. So part of what I want you to do is focus on these skills here as well. In terms of mindset, um, you know, these are the three areas that I think are key to credit. Number one is the problem solver. And if you think that problems are an interruption to your work, I'm sorry. Problems are the work. That's what you're employed to do. You are there to solve problems. That's what you do. And all the queries and all the disputes and everything else, that is the work. And what you have to do is now, there's a few things that we can do to solve problems. And look, we only have a few minutes here today. Um, so and this is something I'm just thinking on. And again, maybe it does form part of the career in credit management as well, because it'd be remiss of me if I didn't mention the diploma in credit management, because anybody who is serious about a career in credit management, having a qualification is something that will stand to you for the rest of your career. And there's whole sections on problem solving and looking at the different areas and not just fixing problems, but solving them and eliminating them. That's really what we cover, and that's what you should be aiming to do as well. Excuses, and those are the three words there. Never accept excuses. Never accept excuses. And so many credit controllers go looking for excuses. It makes me sad. So no, no. And here's one bit of advice I'll give you. Um, so that's that. So never accept excuses. Um, when you make a call, you will either get the money or you'll get an excuse. And part of what I'm encouraging you to do today is forget the excuses. Yes, there might be genuine reasons and we have to overcome them. Yes, they might be having difficulty and we have to overcome that. What I'm saying is, I'm not just going to accept an excuse. If there is a situation, we find a solution. Back to being a problem solver. That's your job in credit. And if they are giving you excuses, get beyond the excuses to the real reason, and then that's what it's all about. And to be target driven as well. So I don't know whether you're given targets or whether you set your targets or whatever. To me, I do not know how a credit department can run without targets. And if you don't have targets, then set your own targets. And it just gives you something to get up in the morning for. It gives you a yardstick to measure your performance by. And without getting into all the maths and all the sums and all the calculations and formulas that you need to drive targets that your accountants will tell you. There's one very simple way to set a target for collections. And if you're giving 30 days credit, in other words, you expect to get paid this month for what you supplied last month. So if that is your business, then your target very simply is last month's sales plus the VAT. That's your target. You don't have to get into any complicated sums at all. So if you sold £1 million last month and you charged 23% VAT, then it's 1.23 million. That was your sales for last month. That is your target for this month. And if you get more than 1.23 million, that means you're eating into the old stuff by definition. And if you get less than 1.23 million, you're leaving a trail behind you. So rather than making it all confusion, set yourself a target, which is last month's sales. And obviously, if you're given 60 days credit, it's 2 months ago, sales is your target. So set your target and then you have something to drive for. And if you get a buzz out of hitting those targets on a monthly basis, then that's part of your prerequisite for credit. So you need to have, and in terms of a positive mindset, um, one of the things to develop, and if you want to get onto the senior management team within your businesses, number one, you have to have a reputation. Number two, you have to be seen as somebody who delivers. Three, you have to give a positive spin to everything that you're doing, not a negative spin. So a positive spin to everything that you're doing. Um, and and as I say, you have to be seen to get results. That's your secret to success within a business, you know. And yes, there are times, we have to play the game. We have to make sure our boss thinks we're great. That goes with the territory. Sometimes I have to, like I will always give the boss what they want. Sometimes I have to change what the boss wants because the boss doesn't really understand, and that's part of the reality and part of the communications process as well. Um, in terms of um, positioning. My recommendation is that you should position yourself as the customer's champion. So look, I know all the customers, I know them all. I know their finances, I know their funds, I know their limits, I know their payment patterns, I know their behaviors, I know what's causing them grief, I know because and if you don't, you probably should. So you should know more about your customers than anybody else. And if you position yourself within the business as, I am the customer. If you want to know anything about a customer, come and talk to me. And that sort of links into the third one there in terms of the sources of all internal and external knowledge. So if a sales guy wants to know something, ask me. I know it. If you have any query about billing, about pricing, about whatever, I am the source of all information. And part of that as well, one of the things that I absolutely insisted on when they were going through their induction process with particularly salespeople, that the salesperson, as part of their induction process, had to spend at least half a day in the credit control office because I had to get these guys to know and understand what credit control is all about. That it's not just about selling and scattering goods into any customer's premises who'll accept it. It's about dealing with good customers who are profitable customers who will deliver. So, if you become the source of all internal and external knowledge, so if you want to know about a customer, if you want to know about this, you know, you become the go-to person within the business, and that's going to enhance your reputation within the business. And to me, any of the successful credit people I've seen have done that, be it consciously or unconsciously. So you become the go-to person, um, and the source of all knowledge. And now suddenly your role is improved and increased. So that is that. And the final thing, and I suppose I don't know whether this only occurs when you move into management. If you have a management mindset, if you go to work every day and like this is my company, and I've always treated every company that I've worked for as my company. Um, and I think if you have that mindset where you care about the business, and the more successful the business is, the more everybody in the business is. And one of the positions where I positioned myself within the organization was as manager of the margin. So I was the one who was responsible and for the profit levels. So the salespeople just want to sell, 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 and whatever, and the accountants want to save, save, save. I'm the guy in the middle who says, does this make sense? Are we going to make money if we do this? Are we going to make more money? And that manager of the margin role influenced all my decisions in terms of, you know, taking on new customers, knowing they were high risk. That's part, and I did that, and you go into it with your eyes open. I know this is a high risk customer. I know there's a high probability that they will go bang at some stage. The fact of the matter is that if they go bang in 12 months' time and I can do 11 months of highly profitable business with them, and not only that, but the profits I make in the 11 months far outweigh the last month's loss on the last day, then that proved to be good business to do. So by taking responsibility for the margin, for making sure that we're not just making sales, we're making profitable sales. And by getting paid on time, we ensure the integrity of the margin as well. And the other thing as well, whether you realize it or not, all the queries that you have sitting on your desk are potential credit notes that are potential hits to the margin. And, by making the senior managers aware of that, that look, it's not just me crying that we have problems here. It's, this is a possible margin hit. If I have to raise that, 20,000 credit note for that overcharge, that 20,000 is going to come straight off our bottom line next month and it's going to impact on the figures for the whole business. So by sort of being margin aware and talking that language to senior managers, they're more likely to take you in. So that is just in terms of where you position yourself within the business. So if you think, I'm just the credit controller, the lowest form of life at the end of the chain where all these important people and then I'm at the end. No, you're not at the end. You can if you want to be, that's fair enough. Where I think positioning yourself at the center of the business. So I decide what customers we do business with. I decide what customers we don't do business with. I decide who you know, who we look after, who we don't, who we increase limits to, who we don't. That's, you're at the center of the business. And that's what I want to do. And that's something that I've been doing now for, over 20 years with ICMT. And just before I let you go, and again, it's open now to questions. If you want to ask me any questions or whatever, I will do that. I do need to talk because I know we're only a few weeks away from the new induction. And I see a few familiar names and faces and people who've been through it and people who are going through the diploma. The diploma in itself is practical. That's the word I'd say. It's not an academic diploma written by guys who do textbooks. This is something, it's a course that I have lived my whole life that, it's full of practical knowledge, stuff that you can implement on a day-to-day basis. And it's real world. And that's the whole point about it. So it's not academic. And if there's two people going for the same job and one person, and they have the same experience and the same track record, and one person has a qualification and the other person doesn't, the qualification will swing it. And in terms of internally, if you go and say to your boss, look, I'm thinking of doing a diploma in credit management, that is telling your boss that this is not just a job to you. You are taking it seriously and you want to progress and you want to learn more and you want to deliver more. So that's that. And to external employers, if you're looking for a job, if you have a diploma, it shows, that you're serious. Now, as I said before, it's not for everybody. And if this is just a stopgap job that you need to stay sane at and it's beer money till you find something new, then the diploma is not for you, so let's not do it. If you're working in credit and you think, do you know what? Uh, I would, and the fact of the matter is, and again, I'm not blowing our trumpet here, but certainly three out of the last four credit directors who have been appointed are all diploma holders. Just saying. I don't know if that's a coincidence or if they did it in spite of us. Um,
Just say to anybody, sorry to cut across you there,
yeah,
Declan, but anybody who's on this meeting now who is interested, just pop a quick private message to me. I can send on the brochure and you can have, read it at your leisure. So if anybody wants that, just send me a thumbs up or something and I'll get the brochure across to you this afternoon.
yeah. And look, stay in touch with us. And whether you go down that route or not, as I say, that's for your benefit and for your career. Um, if there are any questions or queries or whatever, um, sorry, just there's one last slide there. In terms of steps, build a network, and there's the get qualified bit as well. Talk to other credit controllers. There is an institute, the Credit Management Institute of Ireland. There's the AICDP, which is an international body for credit people. There are conferences and seminars, and like stay in touch with us because like we know what's going on. And then sure, we might as well get the ad in for the Credit Team of the Year awards. That's a huge way to get recognition for yourself, for your team, for what you're doing. And like I say to people, there's no charge to apply to be the credit team of the year. Now it's not happening until November, so it's miles away, but just even to plant the seed here. By going to your boss and saying, do you think we should apply as the credit team of the year? It just gives you something to aspire to, and it also sort of moves you in the area of excellence to get recognition for the job that you're doing. And there is no charge for entry. And even if you never get any further than application stage, just getting your managing director to read the application and to give them an understanding of all the work that you're doing. Because I guarantee you, they just see, you're the debt collector, that's what you do. And even by putting the application form on their desk and saying, look, these are all our successes in the last year, and this is what we did, and this is what we overcame, and this is what we achieved. I reckon it will have a very positive effect on your reputation within the business. That's that. And in terms of training, look, we are in the training business. That's what we do. Credit management, training and education. If you have any training needs, and not just within credit, sometimes your salespeople need to be trained as well, because they don't have a clue about credit. And so some of the most successful courses we have done has been explaining credit to non-credit people and bringing them on side with us to make sure that they see that the sale is only complete when the money is collected. And that's what it's all about. Katrina, I'll share these slides with you, and you can share them with anybody who wants them. You can just ask for them. The contact details are there. Actually, I should include your contact details here as well. So I will do that. And look, guys, sales reps do need training, Trish. You're absolutely right. And you have to deliver that training yourself. And the best way to do it, are you ready for this? Is to take half a day a month and jump in the car with your sales rep, sit in their office, go and meet customers with them. And that will give you an insight into their world as well, and a deep understanding of what needs to be done. So rather than sitting in an office making decisions that may or may not work, by immersing yourself in the business, not just the credit function, and by jumping into a car with a sales guy and going off for a half a day, will give you an insight into the real world beyond the desk that I would highly recommend. And guys, I wish you every success for the coming year. I am here to help, whether you go down the student route or not. If you have questions, I know the answers. If you want to know what's going on in the world, we're going to do that. And I'll update the website as well. So that is that. Jacqueline, thank you very much for your kind comments. Please take one or two things on board. Katrina, you'll be in touch with everybody. You're
Yep,
recording it as well, aren't you?
I
So
am indeed. So I'll
there
send
will
the
be a link.
recording
So
out.
yeah, so we can send that out. Ashling, you're very welcome. Great to see you, and thanks for dropping by. Oh, absolutely great, Vitaly. I know that's really going above and beyond. Yeah, so turning on the microphone or the cameras one, which is great. So look, go and do it. That's what it's all about. So look, go have fun and go and do it to them before they do it to you. All right. See you,
Thanks,
folks.
Declan.
And I'll hang around for a while. I'm not rushing away. So maybe if you want to stop recording, Katrina. So if anybody wants to ask you a question, it's off the record.
Hmm.